And good afternoon, and welcome back to ClioCon 2025 in Ballroom C. And segment 2, it is titled From Ring Central, Building an Integrated Legal Technology Stack. Please help me to welcome Burton Kelso to the stage.
It was kind of scary seeing those lights come on. It's like I was trying to escape from prison, you know, and the lights like pop up, like freeze. But good afternoon, everyone. My name's Burton Kelso. I'm known as the technology expert. I know everything there is to know about technology because I own a technology services company in Kansas City called Integral. So as you can see, building an integrated technology stack is near and dear to my heart because my company of 32 years has helped law firms like yourself get through all of the technology challenges that they deal with or that you deal with. We're almost like Geek Squad for law firms. We go on site to fix issues and we do managed services for law firms. But I promise you, this is not a 60-minute infomercial about Integral and how we help people. I'm here today to help you get the technology that you need to have in place for your firm. There's a little Clio related. I think there's a logo. But other than that, I am hoping to help you focus on other areas of your law firm that Clio is not able to help you out with. So one of the first things that I'm going to throw out, and then we're going to play a little myth or fact, is the type of hardware that you need to have for your law firm. And I'm going to throw it down with my 32 years experience. The only two brands of computers that you need to be using in your firm are either Apple or Dell. Lenovo, ThinkPad, all that other stuff is great. And keep in mind, for those devices, the semiconductors all come from Taiwan. But the thing that makes Dell especially stand out is their on-site support. If you have extended support through Dell, they'll actually send a technician on-site to you no matter where you are in the continental United States. The lower 48 and the other 2 states that are not even attached. As far as smartphones, only Apple or Samsung. These are the top of the top products, and so you only want to use those devices because everything else, frankly, just sucks. So anyway, moving on with the presentation, let's play a little myth or fact. Pretty simple how this works is that I'm gonna show a video, I'm gonna make a statement about said video, and then I just want you to yell out, Burton, that's a myth, or Burton, that's a fact. You folks ready? All right, let's play some myth or fact. Myth or fact? Abraham Lincoln is in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Is that a myth or is that a fact? I love the mixed reactions in here, folks, but I'm here to tell you it is a fact that Abraham Lincoln is in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. And he was quite the smack talker, too, back in his day, along the lines of Clubber Lang in Rocky III. He was going through taunting people. I think he one time said, I'm the biggest buck in this place and I'll beat anyone here. But yes, your beloved attorney and our beloved president, Abraham Lincoln, was a pro wrestler in the frontier of the U.S. back in the early to mid 1800s. So when we talk about building a technology stack, what things do we need to concentrate on? Well, the first thing that you need to do before you look at the technology you have in your law firm is that you need to do like Ice-T or Vanilla Ice once said, which is to stop, collaborate, and listen. Can anyone finish the rest of that? Ice is here and I'm on a mission, something like that, right? Something grabs a hold of me tightly. I used to know the words, but I don't know them anymore. But more importantly, when it comes to looking at the technology that you need for your law firm, you really do have to take a step back and figure out, is this going to work for my firm? There are a lot of IT professionals like myself that can tell you the things that you need for your firm, but you really do have to consult with a larger group of people to find out what is going to work for your firm. If you're a family practice firm, what works for a PI firm may not work for you. Same thing if you're doing Social Security law, maybe you're doing estate planning law. There is no cookie cutter. that is going to work for a law firm. So you really have to sit down, have those conversations, especially with IT professionals like myself, to find out what are the best tools that you can use for your firm in order to get the most from it, especially with internet. Show of hands, how many of you have Comcast as your internet provider for your law firm? I'm going to throw another name out there. How many of you have Spectrum for your law firm as far as internet service? Is anyone fortunate enough like me to have Google Fiber for their firm? Anyone out here? Am I the only lucky one? When it comes to internet service, for example, your internet service, you need to concentrate on the largest and the fastest internet in your area, because most law firms depend heavily on high-speed internet. So just because another provider comes through and says, hey, this is going to be the fastest internet, you need to verify that that's going to be the case with your peers and with other professionals in the area. Same thing with the computers that you buy. Should you have a server? Should you not have a server? All those need to be conversations that you need to think about and have before you go out and just buy that technology and find out that it's going to be a waste of time. My next tip as far as building your technology stack is to make sure that none of you get trapped in the ChatGPT bubble. Show of hands. How many of you use ChatGPT in your law firm? Free version or paid version for your firm? How many of you are using free? How many of you are paying for ChatGPT? How many of you work for a law firm where you've built your own chatbot and you're using that instead? In the AI game, we have to understand that there are a lot of tools out there that you can utilize when it comes to generative AI. ChatGPT isn't the only tool out there, and there's probably firms that are sitting in the audience, you probably shouldn't even be using ChatGPT. Many of you have jumped on the bandwagon of ChatGPT just because your buddy or a colleague or even an employee said that we need to use AI. And with that, you are limiting yourselves when you are stuck in that ChatGPT bubble. So let's take a look at some of the chatbot tools that you should be using for your law firm and why each one works different than the other. So an example, or here are the list of AI chatbots that you need to embrace and maybe use. And the reason I'm throwing this list out here with logos, many of you aren't aware that there are bogus ChatGPT or AI websites and apps out there. True story, there was a virtual presentation that I was doing for a bunch of real estate agents in Canada. And I was sharing my screen, showing them different aspects of AI and how it works. And one of the guys asked me, why does your ChatGPT screen look different than mine? And I got the facilitator to share his screen, and it turned out that this gentleman was using a bogus AI chatbot. He went to chatgpt.com, which has since been commandeered by OpenAI's ChatGPT, but one of the telltale signs was that he had ads running on each side of the screen. Now, any of you that are probably still using Gmail, or not Gmail, but Yahoo Mail or AOL Mail for your law firm understands that ads that are placed on both sides of your email screen. But the other thing that was occurring is that this gentleman was feeding his personal information of his buyers and sellers into this chatbot, and he was being charged $300 a year for using this bogus chatbot. And so while $300 a year may not seem like a lot of money to a lot of you, it really doesn't make any sense to pay for an AI tool that isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm showing you the list of all of the legitimate AI tools that you need to use in your firm in order to get the most out of the AI chatbots. So let's go through the list. So first on our screen is ChatGPT. All of you love and know ChatGPT, and it'll do just about anything. But when we talk about AI tools, you have to look at each one as a different tool in your toolbox. So ChatGPT can be looked at as the hammer. But as any of you who have done home improvement projects, a hammer can't do everything. And this is the case with ChatGPT. It can do a lot, but it can't do everything. And in order for you to get more from your generative AI tools, you have to expand your library. Next on our list is Google Gemini. And Google Gemini obviously is made with Google, but it works really well with Google Workspace. And show of hands, how many of your firms are using Google Workspace in order to use Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Presentations? And so rather than using ChatGPT as your AI tool, you really need to adopt Google Gemini as your premier AI tool. One of the other tools that is out there is Microsoft Copilot. How many Microsoft law firms do we have out there? If you're using Office 365 in your firm, you need to be using Copilot as your AI chatbot. And truth be told, Microsoft Copilot is actually ChatGPT in disguise. Because I don't know if many of you know this, but Microsoft is actually the funder to OpenAI to help create ChatGPT. So when you log on to Microsoft Copilot, you are using for free ChatGPT 5. And if you're Microsoft 365 Office, it's automatically included with all of the beautiful AI tools that work with Outlook, that work with Microsoft Word, that work with Microsoft Excel. It's all there. So why would you use ChatGPT when you've got the powers of ChatGPT built in to Copilot, and it's absolutely free, or for the low cost of $20 a month if you're using SharePoint or any of the other Microsoft tools. Something for you to consider when you're thinking about how you're going to use AI for your law firm. Next on our list is Claude. Now, Claude by Anthropic is more designed to write documents. So if you're a document-heavy firm, which most law firms are, and you're not trying to do any digital marketing or any image creating, then Claude would be the AI tool for you. Let's say that you want to do legal research, and I know it's somewhat limited on the internet, but if you were going to use a tool, then Perplexity would be that AI tool that you would use for those deep seek searches. One of the good things about Perplexity, which is needed in the legal industry, is that you need to prove what you are talking about. And I'm not talking about the instance of like the attorneys across the country that used ChatGPT and got cited or in trouble because they used it to write legal briefs. I'm talking about if you're just doing research for any aspect of your firm. Perplexity is basically the AI Google. Not only will it do a deep seek on the internet to help you find the information that you want, but it'll do one of the most important things that AI chatbots should do, which it will give you the sources for every website that it found that information. If you were to look up information using ChatGPT or some of the other chatbots, it's not as thorough as what Perplexity would use or would bring you when you use that as an AI tool. Now, DeepSeek is a Chinese-based AI tool that was built using ChatGPT. Not heavily used in the legal industry, unless you're a legal nerd, but DeepSeek is probably one of the most powerful AI chatbots on the planet. It's more used for mathematical equations, it's used for coding and designing, but it is an actual legitimate AI chatbot. One of the things that you have to look at when you're talking about using AI chatbots to build your legal technology stack is how secure are these chatbots? How many of you knew when you signed that terms of service with ChatGPT that you actually are signing away the rights for them to utilize that information as part of their collection scheme to gather your data? It's in the terms of service for ChatGPT. But did you know chatbots like Google, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, Grok, which I'm about to talk about, and Meta AI do not use any of the information that you load into as a prompt into the AI chatbot. They rely on different sources to train their chatbot. So if you're looking to keep your law firm safe and secure, it's a good idea to break free from that ChatGPT bubble, because obviously you don't want to be that law firm that has to announce that you have leaked sensitive information out because you were negligent using an AI chatbot that was public knowledge. My personal belief, if your firm's large enough, you probably need to have somebody come in and design your own chatbot for internal use. That way you're not leaking out information. But if you're a smaller firm, maybe budget's limited, you can use these chatbot tools, but you need to be careful which ones you use to ensure that you're not leaking out personal or client data. Now, Grok, which was made by X, formerly known as Twitter, is a very powerful AI chatbot that allows you to do document creation, allows you to do images, and it allows you to do video. So if you wanted to up your digital marketing game and have your team of attorneys march towards the screen using a photograph that was taken a few years ago, you can definitely upload that photo to Grok and it'll animate that image for you. Now, as far as secure chatbots, you want to use one that's secure, that would be Lumo, which is that little cat-looking purple thing down on the screen. Lumo was created by Proton, who was the creator of Proton Mail. And how many of you have used Proton Mail to send out secure information via email? Lumo allows you to go directly to the Lumo AI website. You can start putting in your prompts and receiving queries, and you don't have to set up an account. Also, Lumo strives for security, so you can be rest assured any information that you put into your AI chatbot using Lumo is safe and secure. Now, Meta AI, and I'm just curious how many people know what Meta makes. So Meta makes 3 products, and I want you to shout out what those 3 products are. One other is, and there's one more, WhatsApp, right? So those 3 products, someone always shouts out Oculus goggles. That is a product made by Meta, but Meta AI, I'm gonna tell you, is probably one of the most powerful chatbots today. Meta AI will allow you to create documents. It'll allow you to generate video. You can upload photos and turn it to video, or you can generate video. You can visit it by downloading the app, and in fact, all of these you can download the app, and the reason I have the logos up here is so that when you go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, you can associate the logo with the legitimate version of the AI chatbot as opposed to the bogus fleeceware app that's on the dark web, or on the App Store and on the dark web. So finally, we have you.com. So if you just want a casual, I just want to use an AI chatbot, You is free, and it's okay. It's good for casual use, but you can use it freely in your firm as well. So those are the things that you need to know about breaking free of the ChatGPT bubble, because I'm sure many of you have been to conferences. The guy or the female or lady on stage is probably talking about GPT, but you need to break free of that bubble. Understand that each chatbot is after that billion-dollar audience, and so all of them are trying to updo or outdo the other, and there is a good chance that the tools that you were using in your favorite ChatGPT chatbot were there one day and they disappear the next, so you need to have other AI tools that you need to utilize in your AI toolbox. Can't just use a hammer. You need a leveler, you need a screwdriver. So always diversify your AI chatbots in your firm to get more from your AI experience. Next is not necessarily a thing that you would build, but as far as hardware, but you need to build your human firewall. Because I'm going to be honest with you, cybercrime is a human problem. Every device that you own, doesn't matter if it's Lenovo, Apple, Dell, HP, I almost said Sony, but Sony doesn't make computers anymore. Every tech device that you own is immune from a cyber attack. That means that if I'm a criminal, I could not reach out into any of your devices and get connected to them. I don't care if you're connected to the conference Wi-Fi or the hotel Wi-Fi, I cannot get into your device, and neither can criminals. That's why you see social engineered schemes such as emails, text messages, and phone calls that are AI generated coming into your firm because criminals know they cannot break into your device unless you allow them in. And if you have a law firm, this is the last scenario that you want to deal with.
They're coming in through the back door! Oh no! Oh no! Grab the children! Save the children!
5.
No one wants to deal with that scenario. You don't want criminals coming through the back door. And if any of you have learned anything from the cyber attacks that have taken place, the MGM Grand should be the one that stands out the most. How many of you knew 2 years ago the MGM Grand got hacked? But they didn't get hacked, y'all. What happened was this. Some cyber criminal was probably watching an episode of Ocean's 11, either the Frank Sinatra version or the George Clooney, Brad Pitt version, and said, hey, that would be great to break into a Vegas casino, but I don't have the acrobatic Asian guy to break into the vault, nor do I have the wherewithal, and we're overseas, so we don't want to go to Vegas anyway. So what they did is they got on LinkedIn. How many of you are on LinkedIn? The whole room should be. I'm just going to shame y'all right now. Anyway, these criminals got on LinkedIn and found out who the director of the HR department was. Once they did that, they found out everyone who worked at HR for the MGM Grand. Once they got the HR director's information, meaning the phone number, they called the HR director, who, like most of us, leaves a voicemail message that's like, hey, it's the MGM Grand HR director. Leave a message at the tone. The criminals cloned his or her voice. I can't remember if it's a male or female. Once they got that AI cloned voice, they then called or actually did research on LinkedIn to figure out which employee at the MGM Grand would fall for a not deep fake, but a voice cloning scam. Once they figured out who the sucker was going to be, they called him up using the AI voice of the HR director and asked for the passwords to log into the network. Once they got the passwords to log into the network, guess what? We're able to log into the MGM Grand network and install ransomware. Not only did the ransomware affect the main casino for the MGM Grand, if any of you have been to Vegas, you know MGM Grand has properties all over Vegas. It took out elevators, slot machines, everything for the MGM Grand. Cost the MGM Grand, I don't know if they paid the ransom or they just had to employ an emergency crew to come in and clean things up, $100 million. And with my pink cancer awareness, I just want to be a badass on stage suit on, I almost say, when I say that, I feel like Dr. Evil. $100 million, right? So does your firm have that to give away to criminals? No. So building your tech stack definitely should involve educating not only your staff, but your clients as far as what they need to do as far as communication with your firm to ensure that they aren't going to be scammed by cyber criminals. True story, at Integral, we lost a customer because they thought their email had been hacked. In reality, someone had spoofed their email, sent one of their customers a PayPal invoice, and guess what their customer did? They paid it. And I've got to ask y'all, for real, does any firm in here send out invoices from PayPal? For real? Who does that? So anyway, it's important that when it comes to your building your tech staff, probably if you listen to anything today, make sure that your staff understands the nature of cyber attacks. At the very least, enable two-step or two-factor authentication, and make sure that the staff at your firm is starting to employ passphrases as opposed to passwords, because passwords can be hacked in as little as 3 hours. And you're probably asking me what a passphrase is, because I heard someone ask that from the audience. Not really, but I'm just making this stuff up, right? But a passphrase is two unrelated words that create a password, like stinky chicken, or rubber rock, or violent Corvette. Those are passphrases that take centuries to break as opposed to your traditional password. Another thing that your firm needs to adopt as far as cybersecurity is to start using passkeys. Passkeys integrate a website into the biometrics of your smartphone or your laptop. So that fingerprint that you use to log into your laptop, or facial recognition that you use to log into your phone or laptop, integrates into websites such as Apple, Google, Microsoft is strong on this. So those are the things that you need to integrate into your website. Because if you don't, and I got to play this again because I love the audio, if we can get it. Who wants this? Uh-oh, let me go back to Will Ferrell. Here we go. Do you want that?
Oh no! They're coming in through the back door! Oh no! Grab the children! Save the children!
5.
So if you want that for your firm, go ahead. Don't listen to anything I just told you. But if you want to stay safe and secure, at the very least, build your human firewall and make sure that your staff knows. I keep hitting the wrong button. Let me go forward. I know I was going to play it again, right? No, I'm not going to do that. All right. So next, it's time to move to the cloud. I hate to say it. You got to move to the cloud. Don't be embarrassed when I ask this question. How many of you still have a physical server in your law firm? You have a server, or are you going to the cloud? Get rid of that server. Servers are wonderful. They last forever. But you know what they do as an IT professional? It's called job security. Because what has to happen to that server? You got to update it. It gets old. You got to buy a new server. With the cloud, you don't have to do that because all your information is everywhere. Even with your backups, they need to be in the cloud. And I know a lot of you are using Clio, and so that's a good thing for your practice management software. But there are other elements that work in your firm that you need to have in the cloud. Like, I know most of you are using Word. Am I right? I know it. No one's using WordPerfect anymore. What? You're like, what? That's still popular. So anyway, you need to make sure that your assets are stored in the cloud, because cloud protects you against act of God incidents. So let's say the firm blows up or catches on fire. If you still have that server, and your server at the very least is not being backed up to the cloud, then you're done for. Because if your firm suffers a cyber incident, or you just have catastrophic failure, it's a good, well, I shouldn't say a good idea. No, it's a good chance that your firm is probably going to be out of business in the next 6 months. So really think about how we're going to utilize the cloud. And if you need help, I know you folks are going to say, I know a guy. I'm not. I'm just going to show you a lot of the different cloud options out there. Obviously, I threw Clio in there as a good cloud management, practice management system. But you've got options. If your firm's small, yes, you can upload those documents to Dropbox. You can upload them to Google Drive, or you can upload them to Microsoft OneDrive or SharePoint. But you cannot fear the cloud because most cloud systems are encrypted. Even if you're the solo or small firm that likes to buck the system and you want to use iCloud to back up all of your legal documents, they're all encrypted and secure in the cloud. And they allow you to work anywhere in the world. So yes, you can log into that server, but servers are so antiquated. It's time to get rid of it and time to start adopting a cloud mentality when it comes to what you do with your firm. Does that make sense to everybody as far as cloud usage? Go to it, use it. You will be happy. Next, as far as building your tech stack, and as you can see, a lot of it isn't necessarily hardware, but a way of thinking as far as when it concerns your law firm. So even though I'm an IT guy, I'm going to tell you right now, in your firm, and it's something that is an epidemic in the IT industry, you've got to stop messing around with geeks and nerds. Geeks and nerds could care less what happens to your firm. A lot of times they'll recommend stuff just so they have the opportunity to mess around with it. Because nerds love messing with technology. And what better way to get access to new technology than to do it on your law firm's dime? So you have to make sure that you are using IT professionals. And the way that you can tell the difference between an IT professional and a nerd is, can you understand the words that are coming out of their mouth when they talk about technology? If you're dealing with someone, an IT firm, or someone in your office that's the, quote, IT person, if you can't understand a lick of English that's coming out of their mouth, it is time to switch. Because when it comes to the security and the stability of your law firm, you want to make sure that you are understanding everything that goes on. And trust me, in today's digital world, you don't have to be a tech expert to understand everything that is going on with your firm. You should know if your firm has backups locally and in the cloud. You should know what's going on with your firm when it comes to the warranty of your devices. Quick question. How many of you are still running Windows 10 at your firm? And it's not a bad question. Raise your hand if you're still using Windows 10. Don't be ashamed. If you are, did you know that you did not have to update to Windows 11? How many of you knew that, did not know that? You didn't have to go to Windows 11. You could have stuck with 10 because Microsoft offers an extended security update process where up to 3 years you could get those security updates for your Windows 10 computers. Now, a lot of the times firms will say, well, we'll just go out because we have the money. But everyone who's out in the audience knows when it comes to going to new hardware and new software, it's like moving. And moving's a royal pain in the butt. Am I right? It sucks. So if you were ashamed to raise your hand because your firm is still running Windows 10, it's okay. Microsoft still supports it. But that's something that your IT team should be able to tell you and let you know without making sure that you buy new equipment. Also, part of the fun of being an IT professional is setting up new stuff. So if you're dealing with an IT professional in your firm, or you're dealing with a company that's wanting you to replace devices every 3 years, you better watch out. Because truth be told, if you're using a Windows device, you can get up to 10 years on that computer, maybe 6 to 7 years on that laptop. Now, if your law firm is an Apple firm, Apple really is on the planned obsolescence bandwagon. So the most you're going to get out of a MacBook, especially if you're trying to use desktop tools like Apple Mail or Safari on a Mac, then maybe 5 to 7 years, tops. that you would get out of your Mac. But building your tech stack means that you've got a trusted IT professional that you're able to sit and talk to that is going to help lead you in the right direction rather than to use your pocketbook to buy new stuff and to lead you astray. Technology-wise, you should know everything that's going on with your firm. And if you have companies that are keeping that away from you, you need to get away from them, because the challenge is, what is the contingency plan if your IT company goes out of business or if they get hit by a truck or die? Do you have a contingency plan for that? What are you going to do? You've got to start thinking about that, because it can happen, and it has happened. So I want to definitely put that warning out to you so that it's something that you think about when you're building your technology stack. Next, let's talk about protecting and managing those mobile devices. How many of you have a BYOD policy for your law firm? And that stands for bring your own device, not bring your own drink. Meaning that you're either providing devices or you're allowing your staff to bring their own devices to your firm. Now, mobile device crime is pretty prevalent because, again, it involves the process of people being able to allow criminals to get into your mobile devices. So there are several things that you need to do with your mobile devices to make sure that your client data is safe. Number one is data encryption. So you need to make sure that your laptops and your smart devices are encrypted. And it's very easy to do. If you're, let's do a show of hands. How many of you are law firms that are using Apple devices only, exclusively? Now, Apple has a technology called File Vault. And File Vault encrypts or mixes up that data so that if your laptop or your team member's laptop is stolen, all the criminal is going to get is a shiny new laptop. But File Vault works even further, because what File Vault allows you to do is it will track that Apple device. So if someone steals your laptop, Apple technology will allow you to track that laptop down to the specific location where it is at. If it's not enabled, you need to enable File Vault on your Macintosh devices. Now, my Windows friends, you've got access to BitLocker, which will encrypt your Windows desktop and laptop computers. So if you experience a theft at the firm, or if your mobile device is stolen, all the criminal is going to get is a laptop that has information on it, but the criminal will not be able to access that information because it's locked and encrypted. And it only takes seconds to encrypt a device, but you have to understand that when it comes to tech devices, we're still living in a world where laptops, mobile phones are highly sought after devices, and criminals want to steal them. And for a lot of criminals, it is worth it to steal a laptop, take the hard drives out, install a new hard drive, and then they've got a new device at your disposal. Or, well, I should say at your inconvenience, because you're the one that paid for it. But the other thing as far as protecting your mobile devices is to enable a technology that Apple employs, which you can employ on Windows and Android devices, and that's Find My Device. Find My Device, if a device is stolen or lost, you can use GPS technology to track down that device and reclaim it. But the other good thing about Find My Device on both Apple and on Windows devices is that you can remotely wipe those devices. So if a device goes missing and then the criminal decides to pop its ugly head on the internet, as soon as that device connects to the internet, if you sent the command to wipe that device, it will wipe out that device. And so your client information is intact. And so some of you are probably thinking, well, I don't know if I necessarily need to encrypt that device, because a lot of what we do is cloud-based usage. But I'm going to throw out that encryption in there, because not only does it protect the documents on the device, encryption protects the criminal from getting in. So let's say you're using Clio in the cloud. Someone gets a hold of your device and there's no password or encryption on that device. Guess what they have access to? They've got access to everything. So whether it be a smartphone or a tablet, any mobile device, you need to make sure that you are employing encryption on that device, and you need to ensure that you have a way to track down that device using GPS location services that you need to enable on your mobile devices. Next, when we're talking about your technology stack, is the integration imperative. This means that you aren't using a bunch of different programs to do specific things. Now, the good thing about Clio is that there is so much that is intertwined with Clio that you can do a lot of tasks at your firm by either using Clio cloud-based, and there's a lot of vendors and services that integrate and go directly into Clio. So it really doesn't matter what you are using for your firm. You want to make sure that when you're using hardware and software, that you have the integration imperative enabled so that everything's being handled by as little devices as possible. Now, sometimes you can get away with using one device or one software package, but in many times you can't. So when you're doing your research, when you're looking at what you need to do in order to put together your tech stack, you need to ensure that all of this is going to work together. Because I've seen firms where we just go out and purchase the latest and greatest shiny thing out there, and then we've got all of these working pieces that we've got to get integrated. If you are a Google Workspace law firm, that's why I was saying earlier, you need to utilize Gemini as your AI tool. Same thing if you're a Microsoft Office. If you're using Microsoft, you need to integrate Copilot so that you're not using all of these itty-bitty pieces in your firm in order to keep things organized. Because one of the things that I've seen that has been a problem with a lot of law firms is just the fact that there is no research done when it comes to technology. We just go out and purchase the latest and greatest thing because someone told us that would be a great tool. I've seen people get on different practice management softwares because they heard it from a friend. I've seen people get on different email systems because their colleagues or their friends were using it. But you want everything to integrate and you want everything to work together so that your firm runs smooth, seamless, and that you don't have any issues. Same thing with technology companies. Pick one and stick with them. Don't jump around and try to have a technology company that handles one thing. Or just separate things, not one thing. If there's any separation as far as IT is concerned, understand that your managed services and your break-fix services are going to be a little bit different than the firm that you use for digital marketing or for designing your website. Those have to stay separate because the industry is so diverse in the information technology world that you have to have two separate companies to do that. So let's talk about, as we get close to closing, future-proofing your stack. What does that look like and how does that look? When we talk about the future of future-proofing your IT technology stack, that means that you need to have an outside party come in and review what you have technology-wise in your office at least every 6 months, if not every year. One of the things that most firms don't realize when it comes to technology is that your router and your internet modem need to be replaced every 3 to 5 years. If your firm is in the process of having to unplug and plug in that router every few days, then that means that your router is on the outs. It's not a bad idea when you're looking at the future of your stack to see if you need to increase internet bandwidth at your firm. Are you using current internet speeds? Are you using speeds that are good enough for your firm? Have you grown? Do you have more people working at your law firm? Check to see what your provider is offering as far as speeds. Maybe you need to pay monthly. Maybe you need to lock in to a business rate. Those are the things that you need to look into as far as future-proofing your technology for your firm. Other things that you need to look into is the life expectancy of the current version of Mac OS, which is Tahoe, or the current life expectancy of Windows 11. When Windows 10 first came out, Microsoft told us that it was going to be the last version of Windows, right? How many of you remember that conversation? This is it. We're not coming out with any more versions of Windows. Wrong. Here we are at Windows 11. So are we going to have to make that switch when it comes to future-proofing our law firms? Is Windows 10 or Windows 11 going to be around for another 10 years? Is this it? Those are the things that you have to look at when it comes to future-proofing your tech stack and making sure that you have all the tools in place. Another thing, what does your warranty situation look like when it comes to your computers? Are you leasing? Should you be purchasing versus leasing computers for your firm? These are the things that you really need to take a serious look at so that you can ensure that you can continue to move forward in your law firm and make sure that you are ahead of the curve as far as your firm is concerned. Now, other things as far as future-proofing, what does the future of AI look like? We know AI is not replacing people, but where do we see AI going in the next 5 years? Should we include it in our firm? Is it a good fit? I mean, those are the things that you really have to look at because many of you are spending time trying to understand if you should use AI rather than wondering, is AI really a good fit for our firm? And maybe should we look at the option of building our own chatbot for our firm? But future-proofing is something that also should be done with your IT firm. One of the things that I have to train my techs on every time they go out to do a repair for break fix or even for managed services, is the solution you provided going to work 3 to 5 years from now? Or are you just doing a quick fix so that 6 months from now, our customers is going to be calling us for the same thing? But with technology, you really do have to look at the future and figure out which direction your firm is going to go in. Now, I'm going to throw out, to help you future-proof your firm, a couple of tools or several tools that you need to write down to help you stay ahead of the curve. Are you ready for these? All right. Tool number one is a website called speedtest.net. How many of you have used that in your firm to check and to verify that your internet provider is giving you the speeds that you're paying for? So if you go to speedtest.net, there's an app for your phone that you can download, but it will check your internet speed, and that way you can hold the candle to the foot of your ISP to verify that they're giving you the speeds that you have promised. Now, we'll tell you, if your firm is a firm that's wired, Speedtest is going to give you accurate data closest to what your ISP says that you're paying for. If you are a wireless firm, understand wireless technology is only going to give you anywhere from 60 to 70% of your actual speed. So don't be calling your ISP going, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm not getting 1 gigabit or 1,000 megabits of speed. I'm only getting half of that. Wireless is not going to give you that full speed. Wired will, wireless won't. Next tool, there is a website, and it's, I want to say it's bitdefender.com. If your firm struggles at coming up with passphrases, go to bitlocker.com. They want you to pay for the password keeper. Don't do it. Just go to the free passphrase generator that will allow your firm to come up with passphrases for the firm. My next tool, and this one you have to be careful with as far as how you utilize this tool or the website you go to, Because if you don't write it down exactly the way I say you're going to do it, it's going to take you to an inappropriate site. And so I don't want, or sites. So I don't want you reporting to the powers that be at Clio that the guy in the pink suit who gave the speech on the technology stack had us go to inappropriate sites. But that tool is chathub.gg. There's an app and there's a website, chathub.gg. Let me say it again, chathub.gg. What this site allows you to do is to use multiple chatbots all at once. So let's say you're looking to explore if ChatGPT is the best chatbot for you. If you go to ChatHub, not only can you use ChatGPT, you can utilize Grok, you can utilize Claude, you can utilize Meta AI, you can utilize all of those chatbots all at once, put in your prompt, see which one is going to give you the best prompt. Now, chathub.gg offers a free trial, but I guarantee you, rather than that $20 a month you're spending for I forgot the name of the chatbot. For ChatGPT, ChatHub for $20 a month gives you the power of at least 9 different chatbots that you can utilize and find out which one's going to give you the best information. Next tool, we've talked about speedtest.net. We talked about chathub.gg. We talked about BitLocker as far as their password keeper. Let's talk about password keepers for the firm. Now, I will tell you that if you've got a smaller firm, one of the best tools that you can utilize is the Google password, or the password locker that's built into Google Chrome. Now, it has a family plan that you can upload the firm's passwords to keep all of those passwords so that your staff can log into all of their separate devices. But I'm going to name another password keeper. You've probably heard of LastPass. You've probably heard of Password One, but one of the tools that you need to employ as part of your tech stack is a password keeper for your firm, so that way everyone's on board with what passwords they need to use to log into online accounts. These tools will help you stay productive, they'll keep you safe, and they'll ensure that your firm is ready for the future. One other tool I was going to say so that you can circumvent your IT staff. Did you know Apple devices already has it. You can tell when your Apple support ends by going to your phone or your MacBook. But if you are a Dell user, an HP user, a Lenovo user, you can go directly to the manufacturer's website and it will scan your computer and let you know when the warranty has expired for your desktop computer or your laptop computer. So that's it. But building your tech stack means staying ahead of the curve and making sure that you have the right tools in place to ensure that your law firm is ready for what it faces now and is ready for what it faces in the future. So real quick, any comments or questions as far as anything that I've said as far as making sure that you've got an integrated tech stack going with your firm? I believe we've got a microphone runner. I can't see any hands because these lights are like blinding me.
We're running.
You're running? We have a question? Hello.
Hi. I just had a question about when you talked about future-proofing the stacks and needing an outside party to review every 6 months to a year. Are there any outside third parties that you would recommend or services?
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to take my hat out of the ring on this one. But what you need to do, so what I need to ask first, as far as your firm's concerned, is IT in-house or do you outsource?
Outsource.
So what I would do, and you're going to love this, I would, and this reminds me of one other tool I need to mention because you got to protect your law firms. So go to Uncle Google or AI, find out what highly rated IT companies are out there and choose one of those to come in, and obviously get recommendations to make sure that they do work with law firms before you invite them in to look at what you've got and then go from there. You should you should trust your IT company, But at the same time, it's a good idea if you trust them enough to let them look at everything. But if you're starting to waffle, make a switch quicker than later, because that way you'll ensure that all your stuff's up to date and you're going to get the most out of your firm.
Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? Yes, I see a hand up front. Barely, I see a silhouette.
I use remote PC for remoting into my office, and I wonder if you have any recommendations about better software than that.
Well, everyone heard the question. I was about to repeat it like an idiot. No, I mean, there's all sorts of remote software out there. Now, I will tell you that cyber criminals use AnyDesk to remote into like unsuspecting people's computers. So I would avoid AnyDesk as far as remote software. But there's really nowhere to go wrong. I will tell you the most secure remote desktop software out there is TeamViewer. But also you've got options like Google Remote Desktop. You've got Zoho Assist, which allows you to remote into stuff. So remote PC is fine, but know that as far as the best of the best, as far as remote access software, that is secure, that's gonna be TeamViewer. But TeamViewer is pretty expensive, so depends on your budget for your firm. Anyone else as we wrap it up, this hour of joy?
I've got one more at the back of the room.
All right.
Thank you. I'm Jefferson Castor from Old Dominion Veterans Law Group in Virginia. Do you have any empirical or anecdotal evidence as you work in this field with the various state bars across the country when they evaluate an attorney or a firm who's accused of violating confidentiality, has been hacked, they lost their data, client files, whatever? How many of these steps have been approved by various state bars? How many have been disapproved? If a lawyer does all of these steps, can they go to the state bar and say, well, I did my due diligence. I did what the guy in the pink suit at ClioCon told me to do. So
you want to throw this on me now?
Yes, sir. I'm looking for a get out of jail free card.
I love that. So
Thank
yes,
you.
Obviously what you need to do is you need to have a technology policy and procedures manual for your firm. And obviously as an attorney, you know that needs to be in place, but I know how you attorneys are. You don't always do it. That's going to stop, or that's going to be the first step. The next step is you need to ensure that you do write down that you have followed the fact that you've trained your staff, that you have robust firewall and things in place in order to make sure that your firm is following practices for what you need to do for your state bar association. And then finally, if you disclose the fact that you have been breached, you've done everything that you've needed to do in order to protect your firm as far as the liability of your law firm as being solely responsible for this data breach. Because again, if you trained your staff, you built your human firewall, you've got it in writing that you're training your staff and you're showing records that you're training your staff on a regular basis, and you're using secure passwords, passphrases, two-factor authentication, you're gonna be safe and secure. So with that said, we're gonna wrap things up. There's a cheat sheet, so you didn't even have to attend, available. But you've got to sit through this before you get a hold of that cheat sheet, because you got to email me. So one of my things is that I want to be that person to spread good vibes. Viruses, not so much. So as you walk out of this session today, I want you to walk out on a high note. So if you feel so inclined, you can stand up and dance with me as we listen to Mufasa and the Hype Man, Spread Good Joy. How many of you remember this wonderful song during the pandemic? All right, let's do it. So spread good vibes, people. You want to stay positive in your world. It doesn't matter how boring technology can be and how mundane your lives can be. Make sure that you are always spreading good joy, not viruses in your world. So I appreciate you sitting through this session. I hope you were able to take away something from it. And if you want that cheat sheet, you can follow me on social media or email me at burton@burtonkelso.com. A true story about that. So is that live or is that AI? Y'all only knew it because I said it's AI. So me with my arms folded, that's a headshot, but I uploaded it to Grok and I made it animated and make me walk towards the camera. So again, I'm Burton Kelso, the technology expert. Hope you enjoyed the pink suit. Remember, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Make sure that you continue to spread positive vibes and always stay on top of your technologies. Take care of yourself always and do many things to make